Hello and welcome to Wednesday's edition of Cracking the Cryptic, and a brand new puzzle today by Glum Hippo. And this one has had rave reviews, so just about everybody who solved it has loved it. So as usual, we're in for a treat. Moreover, there's nothing in the rule set to this puzzle that indicates I need to say nori nori. And this is something of a relief after yesterday, but I was amused earlier to see that some wag has created a sort of mashup, a 2-minute video of me saying nori nori repeatedly in yesterday's mammoth edition. I did find it quite amusing, and I will try and remember to put a link under the video or on the screen just in case anyone else wants to laugh at me for a while. In other news, I've posted my solve of Dave Gorman's most recent crossword on the channel today. That cryptic has a hidden theme, so see if you can get it. I needed the help of Google, but did eventually struggle to the denouement. But if you like your cryptic crosswords, I definitely recommend the video. Dave's crosswords. Dave, of course, Dave Gorman is a very famous comedian here in the UK and probably worldwide. He should be, so definitely worth checking out. Now, last night, Mark and I had a fascinating chat with Tan Tan Dai, the greatest female solver in the history of the world, and we even had the chance to watch her solve. Now, the correct adjective, I'm trying to find it for the experience of watching Tan Tan Dai solve Sudoku. Humbling. It is, I think, the best description. It was absolutely extraordinary, and I'm thrilled to tell you that I think the technology worked. So I'm going to be able to share with you some of the footage from that chat, and you should be able to see what Tan Tan can do. And yeah, if you have any aspirations to speed solving, be prepared, prepare yourself, because you will not believe what you're seeing. What else? Well, actually, this weekend on Saturday, there is a fascinating online Sudoku competition, killer Sudoku competition, no less, being held over on Logic Masters Germany. I will put a link for this under the video as well. Now, this is quite an unusual one because it seems to be some sort of marathon where basically the objective is to solve 37, yes, you did hear that right, 37 killer Sudokus as fast as possible. I think it's intended to take many hours, and the puzzles have been set mostly by Clover, who has appeared on the channel before, fantastic setter. Sam Kapperman Lines, Joseph Neme and Ahaupt have also contributed puzzles. And all of those people are obviously fantastic constructors as well. I'm slightly concerned about Ahaupt appearing in that list, though, because if he's done a puzzle that isn't in any way close to his normal level of difficulty, no one will finish it. No one will finish the marathon. So I'm intrigued to see what happens. But anyway, if you fancy spending a very good afternoon solving Sudokus, then check out that link. What else? Well, of course, over on Patreon, we've got loads of stuff going on at the moment. Groundhog Day Sudoku. On Valentine's Day, we've got Scott Strossal's Sudoku challenge. We've got a Sudoku hunt that's almost ready to go as well. So there's lots of stuff over there. If you enjoy the content of the channel, you'll love some of the stuff over on Patreon, and we're really grateful to any of you who support us there. It really does help us to keep the channel going. Now, let's get to Glum Hippo's puzzle. Let me read you the rules. Now, I have to say, this rule set, which I read before I started this video, this is completely new stuff, I think. I mean, obviously, skyscraper clues I'm familiar with, but this is called cage scraper, and seems to me to be a completely new type of Sudoku. So if this is good, we could be witnessing the birth of a new Sudoku genre. Here are the rules. Normal Sudoku rules apply. Cages may not include repeated digits unless they are nori. No, there's no nori nori. Cages may not include repeated digits. The clues outside the grid are not skyscraper clues, but cage scraper clues. Each cage should be treated as a building with a height equal to the sum of the digits in the cage. So a 3-cell cage with digits 8, 6 and 2 would be a building with 16 floors. Here's a knowledge bomb. That's because 8 plus 6 plus 2 equals 16. Cells outside of cages are completely ignored for the purposes of the clues outside the grid. Okay, so a quick scan of the grid tells I can see that there are cells outside cages. So that one is, in fact, that's in a cage. I better remember that. That one's definitely not those. So we ignore the clues that are not in cages. The cage scraper clue, so that's the clue outside the grid, gives the number of buildings that can be seen along that row or column where taller buildings obscure shorter buildings, and a cage scraper may never encounter two buildings of the same height. If a row or column contains two buildings of equal height, it cannot exhibit a cage scraper clue. Note that the inverse does not hold, i.e., a row or column without a clue does not necessarily have repeated building heights. Okay, so that sounds complicated, but I'm not sure it's as complicated as it sounds, because if I understand correctly, let's look at this 3 clue. I think that what we need to do is basically play skyscrapers, but not with individual cells. So normally, in normal skyscraper clues, a 3 here could be like 7, 8, 9. And then this would be correct because there would be a 7 building of a building of height 7, followed by a building of height 8, followed by a building of height 9. All 3 could be seen from this side of the grid, and everything after that would be below the building of height 9 and therefore couldn't be seen. Now here we don't do that. Instead what we do is we add up presumably all of the digits in this cage, and that will give us the height of this cage. Then we add up all the cells in this cage, and that will give us the height of this cage. We do the same for this one, the same for this one. So there are in fact only 4 cages in this row from this side, and we have to make sure that exactly three of those cages can be seen. So they must increase. So if this one was 1, 2 and 3, this would be a cage of size 6. That would have to be higher. Let's just make that much higher. That's now of size 30, so we'd see a size 6 building followed by a size 30 building. This building couldn't be seen because it's only 3 cells in it, and we can't beat a size 30 building. And then this 6 cell cage would have to have a total that's higher than 30, and then there would be 3 cells seen, or 3 buildings seen from this side. So it's pretty interesting stuff. And I've never done one of these before, never even seen one of these before. Glum Hippo probably invented it, and that will mean it's all new. So do have a go. The way to play is to click the link under the video. Now I get to play. Let's get cracking. Now, how do we get cracking? We've got 2 given digits today, you know. This is progress. What a luxury. Don't do anything, but it's still quite exciting. So we've got a 1 here, so that's telling us that in this row, this cage here adds up to more than this cage and this cage. Okay, well that's interesting to note, but it's not going to tell us much, is it? So this cage adds up to more than 10, because the minimum this cage could be is 10. That's not fantastic. The 6 cell cage here has a maximum size of 39 and a minimum size of 22. Now there's quite a lot of latitude between those 2 totals, so again that's probably not where we start. We've got 2 6s in the perimeter. 2, 3, 4. That's interesting. That's interesting to me straight away. Let's just check row 8 as well. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Right, okay. This is going to be where we have to start, because both of these, this row and this column, have exactly the number of cages in them that corresponds to the cage scraper clue, not the skyscraper clue, the cage scraper clue, which means that we can view these this column, for example, a bit like a thermometer, because whatever this cage total, oh, have I made a mistake here? That's only a 2-cell cage. Hang on, let me just double check this, because I've just seen this is a 4-cell cage, this is a 2-cell cage, so this is a minimum of 10, 12, 13. I suppose actually it might work. Actually that's probably what's going on. It's probably very restricted as a result of this being a 2-cell cage and this being a 4-cell cage, because basically as we move up the cages here down this column, we have to keep increasing the totals. So this is a minimum of 10, therefore this is a minimum of 11, this is a minimum of 12, this is a minimum of 13, this is a minimum of 14, this cage at the bottom has to be at least 15, and that means we can, it's either 6, 9, well, it's not either 6, 9 or 7, 8, but because 15 must be made with a digit higher than 5, the options for these cages are now, or these 2 cells are 6, 7, 8 and 9. Now let's look at the same thing from this direction, because again it's a bit like a thermometer. This is the bulb end of the thermometer as we look along the cages. So this cage here is the smallest. Then this cage. We've got a single cell cage here. Right, okay, well that tells us this cage has to contain a 1. Why is that? Well, because the maximum size of this cage is 9, which means the maximum size of this cage is 8, and therefore it must contain a 1, because any cage total of 3 cells that adds up to 8 or less needs to have a 1 in it, because 2 plus 3 plus 4 equals 9. So this is a minimum of 6, which means this can't be less. This can't be 6 or less, so this has to be 7, 8 or 9 as well. Aha. So this... Oh no, hang on. This one overlaps. This is the one I should have started with. This is both in column 6 and row 8. So when we looked at column 6, this had to be at least 14. So this is a minimum of 14, and therefore this one is higher than 14. This is 15. This is higher than 15. This is 16 or 17. It can't obviously be higher than that, because a 2-cell cage can never be higher than that. So this little cage here definitely has a 9 in it. Let's put that in, and it's either 8, 9 or it's 7, 9, which means we've almost got a quadruple look in row 9. What a fascinating puzzle, actually. We've got... That's all... In fact, that immediately puts pressure on this clue as well, doesn't it? Because if this is 16 or 17, this cage is lower than it because it's on the thermometer of cages this way. So this is definitely lower than whatever this cage is. This cage is lower because this cage contains a 9, so the maximum value of this would be, in fact 7 and 8 won't work because we need to use 7 or 8 in this cage. So this is lower. So this and this are lower than this. And there are only 2 cages left, and I need to get to a count of 3 cages seen. So this cage is higher than this cage, and this cage is higher again than that cage. I don't know what to make of that, but that's at least, if that's at least 16, this is at least 17, this is at least 18. Okay. This is at least 18. Actually, I'd quite like to notate that. I'm just wondering if I can do... I could do that, for example, but that's going to really mess me up. I could also do that. I'm tempted to do that in this puzzle, you know, because if I do that, I might just use corner pencil marks in this puzzle to indicate minimum cage totals. That's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to remove the ones from here and put them in the middle of the box, which is completely anathema, but I do think it's going to be sensible to keep track of these minimums. So let's do the same thing down this column, because we know this is 10. Oh, I can't do that, can I? Or can I? Because I can put 0 in the... Oh, you bobbins. It put the 0 on the left. Ah! Okay, I can't use 0 that way. This has a minimum of 10. This is a minimum of 11, which I can't do because double 1 just takes it away again. This is a minimum of 12. That does work. That means 13 will work. 14 will work. So these are the minimum values of these cages. And from this direction, this is a minimum of 15. This one is a minimum of 17. Now, if this is 18 minimum, we've got a 1 clue here, so this has to be, well, okay, so this just has to be greater than 18, so it's got to be 19 or more. I can do that one as well. And it can't be much greater than that, or I'll run out of room in the row. Because, now here's a little knowledge bomb. What do those cells add up to? Well, that's a complete row of the sudoku. So it's all of the digits from 1 to 9. Add up the digits 1 to 9, you get 45. So 18 and 19 here add to 37. So the maximum value of those squares is 8. But if this was much higher, we'd run into trouble. It could be 19, then that could be 20, and that could be 6. But if this is 20 and this is 21, that wouldn't work, because 20 plus 21 is 41, and these would have to add up to 4, which is impossible, because the minimum I can make them would be 6 with 1, 2, and 3. So there isn't that much license here. Now, oh look, ooh, hang on a moment, we've got a 4 clue here, starting off with a 19 cage. That's interesting, because how many cages? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, this is important, because look, there are 6 cages in this column, but we start with a 19 cage. 19 is greater than whatever you can put in these 2 dominoes. So the only 4 cages that it's even remotely possible to see in this column are those 4 cages. So these 4 cages are the ones that are seen, which means they must increase. This has to be higher than 19. So this is 20 minimum, which means from a box perspective, these 2 squares have a maximum value of 6, because 19 plus 20 is 39, which means we've only got 6 to play with to get to 45. So these squares are worth notating, I think. They've got to be 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. This is minimum 20. This is minimum... Well, this is weird. So this is minimum 21, but it can't actually be 21 because it's got a 7 in it. The minimum value of a 6-cell cage is 22. So it goes 19, 20 minimum, 22 minimum. This one, therefore, has to be greater than 22, which means it's 23 or 24. This is fascinating. 22 or... So this is either 6, 8, 9 or 7, 8, 9. But it's definitely got 8 and 9 in it, and I'm happy to do 8 and 9s in the corners when in this situation. I won't get that muddled up, I don't think. Famous last words. So this is 23 or 24. What is it I'm meant to learn from this? I do like the way that we've gone round the grid. We started there, we got some deductions, then we moved across to this one clue, got some deductions, moved down here to get some deductions. So we never really used this one. I'm not sure how, but I'm not sure that does interact with this column because this 4 clue never reaches this clue. Although 2 in the bottom row, oh hang on, maybe I should have looked at this before. 2 in the bottom row is problematic because, hang on. So this cage is definitely seen. That's one cage. I can only see one more cage. So this cage is pretty high. And this cage is very high. And I can't see both of these cages, or I have a problem. So, okay, that is interesting. The way... Oh, right, okay. And it's the other interesting thing, look, is that this cage and this cage are affected by the 6 clue. So we know this is a low total because it's got to be less than that one. This is low. We know this is definitely less than this. This is 14. In fact, this is 14 or 15. It can't be 16 because if it's 16, you get 17, 18 here. So this is 14 or 15. So this clue never obscures this, it never beats this total because this is minimum 15. So, okay, so in order for this one to be lower than this one, the only way this can be lower than this is if this is dramatically high. Because this one will need to shield, it needs to be higher than whatever I put in there. So that this clue would see that one and that one only. Now the only way that works is if this is 7 and 9, isn't it? Because this has to... Oh, could it be exactly 15? If this is exactly 15, it will be seen. If this is exactly 15, it would not be... Oh, but we can't repeat in a row, of course. We can't repeat the same digit, the same total in a cage scraper row. So 15, 15 is not possible. So if this is 16, and this is 15, and this is 17, that would meet the criteria of this clue. It would meet the criteria of this clue, and it would meet the criteria of that clue. So 16... Ah, but it doesn't... No, it doesn't meet the rules of Sudoku. If I make this 16... and this 15, it's impossible because I'm using the options for 7, 8 and 6, 9 here. You can't make this 15. So this doesn't work. This is really important because if this doesn't work, the only way to keep this count down to 2 is for this to be higher than this. And therefore this can't be 17. And this must be 17. And there we go, there's a deduction, and that's going to give us a 7 here. So this has to be 17, this has to be 16, and therefore it's 7, 9. And you can see, if it's 7, 9, the 9 has to be at the top. It has to go like that. This is a 7. There's a 7 in one of those squares, put it in the middle of the box. There's a 9 in one of those squares, put it in the middle of the box. Now, let me just double check. So now we've got whatever this is will be seen for certain. Whatever this is will be seen for certain. 1, 2. This will never be seen, this will never be seen, this will never be seen. That does complete this one. This one, that's fine for that one. And the 16 here means... this is really clever. It keeps feeding back on itself, because now, if this is 16, these two totals are now forced. Because this one, we know, can't be less than 14. And now it can't be greater than 14 either, because this needs to be in the gap. It's like a thermometer. This has to be available. There has to be an integer between whatever this cage adds up to and whatever that cage adds up to. So this is 14, this is 15. And, okay, what does that mean? I know what it means. That's a 7. That's a 7. So now, what does this cage add up to? It's a 3-cell cage that has to be lower than 7. So it has to add up to 6. And that gives us a bit more. Oh, and... right. Now this cage here has to add up to less than this cage, because this is the bulb of the thermometer from a cage's point of view. So it can't contain a 7 or a 9, which gives us a 7-9 pair. This cage has to add up to less than 6. Oh, right, okay. So this cage is, I think, forced. It can't be 1, 2, because both of these squares would have to be 3. It can't be 1, 3, because then both of these squares would have to be 2. So it has to add up to 5, and it can't be 2, 3, because then both of those squares would have to add up to 1. So this is 1, 4, which gives us a digit there. Don't eliminate the 1 from here, because that's not indicating there's a 1 in the box. This is a 14 cage. Now, 8. We can do sudoku. 8 must go here. That's not 8 anymore. So there's definitely an 8 in there, therefore there's definitely an 8 in one of those two squares. Put it in the middle. These two squares are 5 and 6 to complete box 7, look. This row still needs 2, 3 and 4 into these cells. There's definitely a 4 in one of those squares. Still can't eliminate this 4. So let's go through it. We've got a 5 cage, a 6 cage, a 7 cage, 14, 15, 16. That's working nicely. We've got a 2 cage, oh, sorry, not a 2 cage. We've got a 2 skyscraper clue going vertically in this column. We see an 11 cage first up, and then we see this cage, which we don't know whether that's seen or not. But that cage will be seen. Yeah, hang on. That cage adds up to 22 at least. So if this is 11 and this is 22, that gets us to a count of 2. So this cage can't be seen. Otherwise, we're going to reach at least a cage count of 3. In fact, that cage, sorry, let's forget about this one. That cage is seen. Because that's even higher than that one. So this cage... so is that just telling me this cage here has to be lower than this cage? Because if it's higher, it will be lower than that, and I will see 3 cages. That's exactly what it's saying. So this cell has to not reach. In fact, it's got to keep it to 10 or less, because it can't even equal 11, because you can't repeat. You can't repeat a building height in a column. Sorry. Right. So this square. So if this is 9, this would have to be 1. And if this is 7, you could put 2 or 3 in, but not 4, because that would take us to 11, which would repeat the total. So this square is 1, 2 or 3, and that's a lot of work for not much value, I'm afraid. 2, 3 pair there, that's not 2 or 3. What was that? How did I get this pencil marked? Was that the... How did I get a pencil mark in that square? Was that what I did in here? Oh yeah, it was I worked out these had to add up to 6 or less. Ah, but the 7... This total has to be less than that. So this... right, hang on. This is important because this 6-cell cage adds up to a minimum of 22, but a maximum of 23. Because it can't add up to 24, because then this wouldn't have a value. And it needs to have, this one needs to be seen for the 4 clue. Good grief. So this adds up to 23 or 24. 23 or 24, 22 or 23. So it's either 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and the 7, or it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 and the 7. So it always has 2 and 3 in it, and where do the 2 and 3 go? The only place the 2 and 3 can go is in that little domino, which means that square's a 1. Now there must be a 1 in this cage, so that's got to be here, and these 2 squares, there must be a 4 in it, so that's got to be here. Because of this 4. And this square is a 5 or a 6. I think. I think that was right. It may not have been, but it felt like the logic was sort of pure. Okay. What does this mean? I do not have a clue. Now this is 1 here, so this is no longer 1. But it still could, I think, be 2, 3, 4 or 5. How long have I been going? Half an hour. Gosh, that feels like about 5 minutes. Right. Okay, I think I need to take stock here and just work out where I'm at. So I've got... What's this done? I still don't know whether it adds up to 22 or 23. Okay. Sorry. Oh dear. This. Oh, I know what I've not thought about. This does add to 14 now. So that means I know exactly what this column adds up to. That must add up to 13. This is 12. This is 11. This is exactly 10, which gives me a... I know this is 1, 2, 3 and 4. No 1 here. So there's definitely a 1 in these squares. Don't eliminate these ones. There's no 4 in that square. That doesn't actually seem to break the puzzle open. I'm probably missing all sorts of things here. But it's quite complicated to hold this in your head, actually. Especially as I'm not sure what my pencil marks mean. Now, this is an 11 cage. That is completely hopeless. This is a 12 cage. Oh, that's nice. Right, okay. Look at this square. Let's look at this cage. We know for sure this is a 12 cage. I'm just going to double check that. We know for sure this is 14. Yeah, we do know this is 14. It cannot be anything else. Because the minimum of this is 10. Because it's a 4-cell cage. 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. And this can't be higher than 14 because it will break this. Yeah. So this is 12 and it sees 2, 3 and 4. So the only way this can be 12 is with 1, 5 and 6. which means that's not 1. Not sure what that means. 1, 5 and 6. This is 13 then. So there's a bit of pressure on this. Oh, I tell you what puts a lot more pressure on it. It's got a 7 in it, look. There's a 7 in this cage. So it needs 6 more. Bingo. Right, okay, look, I get to say bingo today. How does this cage work? It needs 2 digits in it that add up to 6, but they can't be 1 and 5, because if the options for these 2 squares were 1 and 5 and 7, these 5 squares need to be selected from the 4 different digits 1, 5, 6 and 7, so there would have to be a repeated digit. That will not work. So this must be 2, 4, 7. Oh, the 4 therefore goes here. Oh, don't eliminate the 4 from there. That's not 4. This is a 2, 7 pair. That's not 2. What does that do? Come on. That does nothing apart from give us... Oh, no, I know what it does. Let's do sudoku. Let's do sudoku on column 4. Where do 8 and 9 go in column 4? Look, we've got an 8, 9 here, so they're not there. There's only 2 spaces left. That's an 8, 9 pair. That's nice. That gives us a 3. That means that's not a 3. That means... I don't know what that means. It means there's a 3 in one of those cells by sudoku. There's a 4 in one of these cells by sudoku. 8, 9. This one, is this important now? This, I think, is only affected by that clue, potentially. I haven't actually looked at this clue, I don't think. What's this? So this needs to see 4 buildings. Right, that building is clearly shielded by this building. It's got to be lower. So this building is seen. This building is not seen. This building... I don't think we know whether that's seen or not. 1, 2, 3, 4. There's only 5 buildings, though, that are potentially seen in this row. This one we know sums to 15. This one we know sums to 13. Ah, yeah, this is good. Right, okay, so what's... Yeah, this is good. What do you put in that cell? This building here cannot sum to anywhere close. Well, it can't sum to 15. Because you won't see enough to get a 4 total here. And look, this square can't be 1, 3 or 4. So if this is not 2, the best value you could put in here would be 5, which makes this a 16 cage. 16 will not work because we'll see 1 cage, 2 cage, 3 cage maximum. This is a 15, it's lower than 16. This is a 13, it's lower than 16. This has to be a 2. Ah, that's a 1. That's a 3. Yeah, come on. 2, 4 here. Does that matter? Come on, matter somehow. 1, 2, 4. Oh no! There's got to be a 1 in one of those squares. That's not 1. Oh, I get a 1, look. I get a 1 here. Maybe that's what I get for that. Oh, look. Look along there. These squares have got to be 7. Oh, goodness. They've got to be 7, 8 and 9 now. Ah, that's an 8. Because it can't be 7 and 9. That's got to be 8. These are not 8. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3. So let's just double check this now. So this is definitely seen. This one might or might not be seen. This one is either adding up to 13 or 14. Oh, I know what we can do. That can't be a 13 cage, because then it's in the same row as another 13 clue, which is not allowed under the rules. So this has to be a 9. That's an 8. So this... Oh, lovely. So this 8 here must have a friend here. We know there's an 8 in this cage because that one adds up to 23 or 24. I've remembered that. Now that means that's not 8. There's definitely a 9. Oh. I don't know what that means actually. So now I've got 14 here. This one is shielded and the 15 will be seen. So the 4 cages that are seen along this row are this one, then this one and this one, which means this one has to add up to less than this one, but more than this one. Wow, okay, so this square here could be a 3. If it's not 3, it would be 5. Or 6. In fact, yeah, look, if I look at this box, in fact, 3, 5 and 6 have just not been placed. So 3, 5, and that's not 3. There's definitely a 3 in one of these 2 squares. 14. Definitely a 3 here. Sorry, I'm not sure what I meant to do here actually. I feel like I'm not solving this in a very structured way. I'm picking off the occasional digit and that's the best I can do. So how do I... Is this clue helping me now? I'm not sure it is. I think... I'm not sure. There's got to be an 8 up here. What was it? Ah, hang on. I might be able to get the 8 because... Oh, I can get the 8. Does the 15 cage have an 8 in it is the question. Given it can't have a 9 or a 7 in it, the answer is maybe. The only way it can't have an 8 is if it has 4, 5 and 6 in it, which do add to 15. But it can't have 4, 5 and 6 because the 4 is down there. In fact, I've just noticed that 4 and 1 over there are also shouting at me. Does that do anything? That means there's a 1 in one of these 2 squares. No, it doesn't do anything. But it does mean we need an 8 in this cage. And it can't be here, and it can't be here. So that square is an 8. Which means there's an 8 in one of those 3 squares. It can't be here, because I think that one had to add to 11. And that, if this was 8, that would be a 3. So the 8 is not there. The 8's in one of 2 places in the box up there. Okay, so this is 8. These 2 squares therefore add up to 7. And they can't be 3, 4. So this is either 1, 6 or 2, 5. Now if it's 2, 5, the 2 would have to be there, the 5 would be there. If it's 1, 6, the 1's here. So we get this one down to being a 5 or a 6. Right, okay, well I can do something with this, therefore, because I need to put a 5 and a 6 in box 9. Now, if this square, you can see I've got one of them so far. These 3 squares can't be 5 and 6, so the other one is in one of those 2 squares. If it's here, it joins its friend there and becomes a 5, 6 pair. Well, they add to 11. But this cage adds to 14, but I can't make those squares add up to 3 because I can't put a 1 in them. So this is not 5 or 6, this is 5 or 6, and that's a nice deduction, and it gets me a 3. Does it do anything else? The answer is maybe not. 3. Oh yeah, it does. It does. Look at this clue again now. These can't be the same total or it'll break the rules of the puzzle. So if I make that 9, this cage is adding to 10. That will make this 7 and this cage is adding to 10. That doesn't work. So that's 9. Oopsie. This is 9. This is 7. That's not 7 anymore. Oh, that must do something. I don't think it does. Wow, okay. Okay, that's a bit harsh, isn't it? So 5, 6 here. So in this row now, I've not played. This is just 1, 2, or 3. Can I do anything with that? No. Goodness me. This is really challenging. I really hope I'm not missing anything super obvious. 9. So which clues have I not looked at for a while? I don't think I've ever looked at this clue. Not sure what that clue's doing. Maybe it's limiting the value of... Oh no, it's not limited. This 2 here is not limiting the value of this because this one is always less than this one because of the 4 clue up here. So this clue, it sees that immediately. That's 17 or 18. This one we know is 22 or 23. So these two are definitely seen. This one can never be seen because if this is 17 at least, this is a 2-cell domino. I'm not sure this clue. I'm not sure what this clue is doing. Now that is very worrying because that means I've probably made a mistake. Okay, I'm not sure. This 2 clue, what's that? So this 2 clue, that's an 18. That's lower, so it's irrelevant. This one, oh, that's interesting. This 2 clue is telling me that this one is lower than this one. Ah, got it. I've got something. This square, yes, I have got something. If this square is 9, this square, look, would have to be it can't be 1, so it would be 2 minimum. Now that makes this add up to 19. Well, that can't work because this can't be 20. We've already looked at this many moons ago. Gosh, look at the time. This puzzle is so hard. So yeah, we had to see this one, and this one. So if this does add to 19, this has to add to 20. That would have to add to 21. We couldn't make those squares add up to 4. This square is not 9. This is 7. This is 9. The same thing, look, with the 7s here. The 7 can't go in that square because that would have to be a 4. So this is a 7-8 pair. Oh, and there's a 7 here. 7 and 8 go in. 7 is in one of these 2 squares, I think. 8 we can place because the 8 must be in this domino. So the 8 can't be there anymore. This square becomes an 8. don't think that does anything, unfortunately. So this square, therefore, we've got 15 in this cage. The minimum is 17, so it's either 2 or 3. If it's 4, we're forcing this to 20 again, which we can't do. So this is 2 or 3, which is not telling us the secrets of the universe, is it? This is 18 or 19. Oh, lovely. This can't be 19. Because if this adds to 19, how do I make this domino add to 12? 7, 5 not available, 8, 4 is not available, 3, 9 not available. This does add to 18. And this is, oh, this is lovely. This is lovely. If this adds to 18 and this adds to 16, this must add to 17, which means that squares a 2. That means that's not a 2. That's not what I was hoping to get from this. No, come on. You meanie. Don't believe it. Does that do anything more? Oh, no, I'll tell you what it might do. It might limit this now. Because, yeah, because if I know that this adds to 18, this domino adds to 11, and it can't be 2, 9, 3, 8, or 4, 7. So this is a 5, 6 pair, which might be good. Gives me a 5, 6 pair in the column. Yeah, look. These 3 squares in the column have to be 1, 3 and 4 therefore, and I see 1 and 3 in row 6. That's a 4. Get rid of those 4s. These are 1 and 3. Can we do that? Probably. I just can't see how. So this is a 3. This is a 1, 3 pair. Now let's come back up here and look at this again, because we've got, oh, 9. 9 has to be in one of those 2 cells. Right, 9's not here, because if 9 is here, this domino adds to 17, and that domino adds to 7, or not, that triomino adds to 17 as well. And we'd have 2 17s in this row. That's not allowed by the rules. So the 9 is here. And the 9 is therefore in one of those squares, which means there's definitely a 9 in one of these 2 cells, which we already knew, because we've not put a 9 into row 1 yet. Wow, this is so difficult. Now, this is 18. So this is either 9... Right, so we've either got to put the 2 or the 4 in this cage. Right, I've got it. If you put the 4 in this cage, it doesn't work. Why doesn't it work? If you put the 4 in the cage, these 3 add up to 21. That means this, because of the 4 clue, has to add up to 22 at least. 21 and 22 is 43, which would mean these 2 squares both had to equal 1. It breaks for any number of reasons. It's not good. So that's not 4. This must be a 2, 9 pair. This must be the 4. This is a 2. Now this... So now this adds to 19. This has to be... Still not sure I know what the value of that is, you know. I think I'm missing something really basic here. I still don't know what the value of this cage is either. I don't know. So this, let's look at this box. We have got to put 1, 3 and 4 into those squares. Ah, but doesn't that one add up to 11? It does. It can never contain a 1. That means this is a 1. That means that's a 3. Okay, we get a bit more. These two squares are selected from 3 and 4. And that's probably going to put... Yeah, hang on, this is good. Okay, we need 3 and 4 into these squares. If this is 4, this adds to 11, so this would have to be 7, which can't be, for 2 reasons. So this is 3. This is 4. This is 4, therefore. I'll trust my pencil marks. Who wouldn't? 3, this has got to be 8, because we know this adds to 11. The 8 fixes the 8 and the 9. Come on, keep going. 9 goes here by sudoku, therefore. These two squares, 5 and 6. Oh, that looks like it's... This 4 gets rid of the 4 there. So this row still needs 3, 5 and 6 into it. I don't believe it. Still it won't yield. Okay, so what is it we've got to do now? We have got to... What have we got to do now? This 3 is moving a 3 out of that square. That gives me a 1, 2 pair here. That gives me a 3 here and a 2 here. That means this square is a 3. We still need 7 more, which we can get either way. This is either 5, 2 or 6, 1. It's not resolved, I don't think. 4 is not resolved. 5, 6 is all over the place. This column, let's look at this column. I still need to place 5, 6 and 7 into this column. This square seems to be able to be anything. This square seems to be able to be anything as well. Good grief. So what is it I'm not understanding about the puzzle at this point? This has to add to 15, it still can. This is 18, this is 19. So if this is 19 and this is 20, this would be 5. If this is 22, this would have to be 23, this would have to be 24. I don't believe it. There's something I'm not understanding. I'm so sorry. What is it? 5, 6, 2, 3, 4, look. 4 is given. Okay, 4 can go there. I don't think it's going to help though, because the 4 is not the digit that's the trouble. I've got to figure out the 7 somehow. And goodness only knows how you sort out these 5s and 6s everywhere. Right, let's look at this square. What does this square have to be? So it's got to be 5, 6 and 7 looking at the row. 22. Yeah, so that's okay. If this isn't 3, that gets me 5, 6, 7, which is 22. Right, okay, so the only one I've not really looked at, I think, is this one. Now, do we know anything about this one particularly? We know that... I don't know. Let's look at the options. 1, 2, 5 and 6. Literally, they're all possible. I don't believe it. 1 can't go there, though. One, 2, 5 and 6. Now, these ones added up to 17. This is lower. This is adding up to more. So this has to add up to more than 17. So it's got to be at least 18. So if this was 6, we would only get to 17. This is not 6. Okay, that's something. So if this was 5, this would be a 1, 2, 6 triple, and that would get to 18. And what would be wrong with that? That is the question. And if this is 2, we'd easily get. If this is 2, maybe we break this one if we go with 2. If this is 2, this would add up to 21. Oh, hang on. Maybe it's this 2. Good Lord, it is. It's this 2, isn't it? Because this adds to 18. This has to add up. So it's not this 3 I should be looking at. This is so easy to miss. It's not this one. It's this one. This is 18. This has got to add up, therefore, to 19 in order to make the 2 clue work. And it can't add up to 19 if this is a 5. Because 1, 2 and 6 only gets it to 18 and it's the same value. That's it. That's it. Right. So this is 2. Wow. I'm so sorry that's taken me a long time. But it did. Now this square's a 9. Just by sudoku. That gets me the 9 and the 2 up there. Is this going to do the whole grid? It might do, you know. It might do. It's quite exciting at this point. It seems to be going, doesn't it? This square now, there's no 5s in those squares. You can see how powerful that is. 6, 7 here, therefore this becomes a 3. A 5 fixes the 5 and the 6 at the bottom. It's going through the grid. Don't believe it. It was just that deduction. This 2 gives me the 2 and the 1 here. Now look, this has to add up to 15 if I remember rightly, which means that's a 6. 6 and 5 go in here. That's got to be a 5. 6, 1. 6, 5. 5, 6, 7. I've taken over an hour. Check. That's it. That's how to do it. What a puzzle that is. That's 2 puzzles back to back that have taken me over an hour. Very different, very beautiful puzzles. And this one's really got some great logic in it. I mean, the one yesterday did as well. I'm sorry they're taking me a long time at the moment. I promise you, it's not because I'm not trying. Thanks so much for watching. We'll be back later with another edition of Cracking the Cryptic.